Hey, everybody. Welcome back to your Dawn of Drones podcast. I'm Dawn Zoldi, your host and the CEO of P3 Tech Consulting. For all those in the United States, happy belated Independence Day. Yesterday was our 4th of July holiday. And I want to also thank those that have served in the military and are continuing to serve, because everybody knows freedom is not free. So thank you for that. And we are kicking off a brand new month, everybody, today. It's called Innovation Month, and it is sponsored by Carahsoft. And we are so fortunate today to have with us Lacey Wean. She is the director of sales for the Autonomy and Robotics line of effort there at Carahsoft, which embraces a whole bunch of different things that we're going to talk about today. So, Lacey, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Dawn. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, awesome. Well, Lacey, for those that don't know much about you, can you tell them a little bit about yourself first?
Yeah, absolutely. So great to meet all of you, and excited to be here. I've been with Carahsoft for a little over 11 years, and I'm one of the directors in the company, and I manage a couple of our business units, specifically around Geospatial, our Autonomy and Robotics business, law enforcement technology, and our Oracle business unit, as well as some of our emerging tech companies and the partnerships on that side. My background specifically is in tech sales, primarily focused on the public sector. So all defense, intelligence, federal civilian agencies, state and local business. And in my role, I work with many technology companies to assist with their government go-to-market strategy, and also lead a sales team that's focused on those business units.
Well, that's a lot to cover, and we definitely have a lot of ground to cover during this show. So let's start at kind of the 30,000-foot view about Carahsoft first, and tell us really what it is Carahsoft does.
Yeah, so Carahsoft as a company, so we started in 2004. And at the core, we're a sales and marketing company that's specifically focused on selling technology to the government. So to put it in kind of simple terms, there are really three customers that we serve. So we work with the technology manufacturers to help sell their products and market those products to government agencies. We work with many government agencies that I mentioned to help them acquire the technology that they need and keep them informed of new innovative technologies. And then third, we also work with a large ecosystem of resellers and implementation partners, systems integrators, and thousands of partners that can help enable our vendors to grow their business and help the government meet their needs as well.
Okay, awesome. Now, given those many different lines of effort, how are you organized to help and support these manufacturers?
Yeah, so we're organized really in two different ways, and you can see the kind of the example here on the slide that's up. So we have dedicated sales teams that are focused on some of our larger manufacturers. So there's a dedicated team focused on VMware, on Adobe, on Google, on Salesforce, on Microsoft, on Oracle. And those sales teams are, highly trained in the products and focused specifically on that technology manufacturer. And then second, we also have vertical teams. So those probably about 12, 14 years ago, we started developing these technology verticals. So these came about because they're really focused around government initiatives or relevant technology requirements. So you'll see here in the bottom section, we've got teams for geospatial, teams for cyber, AI, machine learning, mobility, 5G, citizen experience. And our autonomy and robotics team is a separate team within there as well. So we've got separate sales teams that are focused more on a technology set where they're handling not just one vendor, one manufacturer, they're handling multiple manufacturers that kind of fit within that same business or that same type of use case.
So full transparency, everybody, I'm a fan. Clearly, I've got the t-shirt, but I've been working with Carahsoft for 2 years. And Lacey, just to be clear to everybody out there, you work with companies, as we saw on that last slide, big and small. You know, and I just remember you and I talked when I first kind of joined to in partnership with Carahsoft as a consultant, that when, you know, COVID happened and I was in the federal government at the time, you know, the entire federal government went to Zoom. You guys executed that federal Zoom contract. So just to give everybody an idea of the level of effort that Carahsoft is capable of and does on a daily basis, I just wanted to foot stomp that. But you know, this is Innovation Month, and I really want to talk about this autonomy and robotics card because I know the crowd out there that follows us is heavy into that space. And by the way, everybody, just a reminder, we are live today, so please jump in the chat, say hello, give us your positive encouragement, tell us where you're from, ask Lacey some questions because if the government space is one that your business is interested in participating in, this is the company you want to be talking to. So tell us about your innovative, you know, autonomy and robotics efforts.
Yeah, so I would say that so as a company, we do a really, really great job of keeping up with the latest and greatest trends in the tech industry and in the government space, where we're always looking for new innovative solutions and innovative partners that we can ultimately bring to our customers. So as we started developing this autonomy and robotics technology vertical, we took a look at the developing requirements around UAS and autonomous systems over the last couple of years. And we've curated this really great offering of solutions that bring the government an end-to-end solution for their UAS and their autonomy and robotics needs. So one of the things when we started this business, one of the things we noticed was just an increasing need and requirement for US made or TAA compliant drones. So we took that and did some research and consulted with Dawn and her expertise as well. But we really took that information and started identifying, hey, what are some of these innovative companies that can meet these requirements, and how do we partner with these guys to help them do business with the government, market their technologies, and bring this innovative technology into the government sector. So our goal is really to be a one-stop shop for the customer's technology needs. So in our autonomy and robotics portfolio, like I mentioned, the goal is to really be able to offer an end-to-end solution. So we can offer, we have a number of manufacturers that are manufacturing drones and selling those US made or TAA compliant drones. We've got a ton of partners in the geospatial space that are doing geospatial work or your imagery processing software. We've got a ton of products for data management and analytics that are integrated with AI and machine learning functionality. We've got a ton of vendors that are focused on cybersecurity and helping keep that data that you're collecting secure. And then, hey, in your drone workflow, you're collecting a ton of data. Where are you storing that data? So we also work with all of the major cloud providers as well to provide solutions to securely store that data. And then we've also got a couple of companies that are doing training and enablement around this space too. So, hey, especially if your agency is just getting started with, a drone program, we've got some great companies that can help with training and enablement to really help you get that ramped up. So with that, all of our customers have, there's a ton of different use cases, a ton of different needs. So we're able to bring these solutions together and just kind of put the puzzle pieces together to create an end-to-end solution that's right for that specific customer and the use case that they're trying to accomplish.
Now, your primary focus is on federal, state, local, tribal, territorial governments, but you also work with, you mentioned law enforcement, obviously, as well as kind of a subset of maybe the municipal or local level. But you also work with some critical infrastructure folks, right? Because that's private sector folks, but they're in great need of this kind of technology as well.
Yeah, that's a great question, Dawn. So so while our primary focus is on the public sector and the federal, state, and local agencies, it expands a little bit beyond that as well into some other, relevant or kind of adjacent markets. So critical infrastructure is definitely one of those, and working with some of these private companies that are in the critical infrastructure space. We're also doing, we're doing a lot in healthcare as well, so private and public healthcare agencies. We've got a ton of business in education as well, so higher ed and K through 12. And there's a couple other, adjacent markets that we're expanding into as well.
Okay, that makes sense. You used the term, I want to make sure, because I'm one of these people that I want to make sure everybody knows the exact terms we're talking about. You use technology vertical, or, this term vertical. Can you explain what you mean by that?
Yeah, of course. So these technology verticals, they're basically just a set of products that we group together that are focused on specific government trends, initiatives, or requirements. So, like you saw on a couple slides ago, for example, we've got a group of technologies that are just focused on cybersecurity, and there's probably about 100 companies that we have, from core cybersecurity providers down to more niche areas of cybersecurity that are part of that business. Same with our AI and machine learning vertical, our geospatial vertical. The law enforcement one that I mentioned is interesting too. So while we're selling to law enforcement agencies, we have a technology vertical of technology that's really, really specialized towards law enforcement. So while drones and UAS are part of that, in addition to that, we also have things such as body-worn cameras, forensics or investigation tools, and a number of things that are really useful to law enforcement agencies. And we're continuing to develop these new verticals as emerging trends come up.
Well, I remember when I first looked at your website, Lacey, there were so many of these verticals, and you're right. When you think about law enforcement, I remember kind of digging deep into some of these as you and I started working together, and even things like lighting solutions, protective technologies and things like this are part of that overarching vertical. So I know we're going to put up your website too, and I encourage people to check that out because it's chock full of information. But you kind of alluded to it, but I want to just very specifically ask about this because I would say Carahsoft's bread and butter, at least initially, was our IT, was and continues to be IT solutions. You obviously have other technologies you work with, but why did you very specifically get into the autonomy and robotics sector, if you will?
Yeah, so we started getting into the autonomy and robotics sector initially about 6 years ago. And when we got started, we started focusing on, we were solely focused on, hey, we want to find the right partners and let's start ramping up this business. The biggest challenge that we saw, especially over the last 3 years, was just the need for US made or TA compliant drones. I'm sure most of you are probably familiar with, some of the memos and various things that have been put out by the Pentagon, recently by a number of states as well, that have put a ban on Chinese-made drones, and there's a really big emphasis on US made or the TA compliant drones. So there were a number of companies out there that were making these compliant products, but the biggest challenge that we saw is, hey, people didn't know about them. The government didn't know about them, and then once they did know about them, they didn't really know how to buy them. So that's really where Carahsoft came in, as we partnered with these companies. First we helped with their go-to-market strategy. There's been a really big emphasis over the last 3 years on marketing and brand awareness. So not just for Carahsoft, but for our partners as well, and helping amplify their brand and amplify their message and get the word out. And then second, we also have a significant footprint across all agencies at the federal, state, and local level, and a number of contract vehicles that can be used to buy all of the technologies we sell. So that's really where we came in to kind of help with that second piece of, hey, once an agency knows about a drone, how do they buy it and how do they go about procuring that? We can bring our expertise in really those two areas.
No, it makes a lot of sense. I've written and I've talked quite a bit about the Defense Innovation Unit's Blue UAS components and framework and program. And so many people are under the misconception that that is the only entree, if you will, only entry point into working with the DoD, and that is not true. As you mentioned, there's so many other vehicles, and not just the DoD. When you think about the federal government and drones, right? You're talking about Department of Interior, so many other three-letter agencies, if you will, that are using drones that you all have connections to. So I want to talk about all these different verticals, if you will, that feed into this autonomy and robotic solutions, because you've made this overarching umbrella, but you really started, with geospatial solutions. I know, Lacey, when we talked on Clubhouse last week, which, by the way, everybody, that replay is available. It was a great conversation. That's where you actually cut your teeth in the geospatial world, and that's still such a huge part of what you do at Carahsoft, and also a kind of a component, if you will, of this larger robotics and autonomy solution set. So tell us a little bit about your geospatial solutions.
Yeah, so Caresoft's been in the geospatial business since about 2006. And we can offer a wide range of geospatial focused technologies and some adjacent technologies as well. So that team started again right around 2006, and really, I was part of our geospatial team when I first started in the company, and helped contribute towards growing that over the last 11 or so years. But we've expanded that beyond just traditional GIS software, geospatial technology you're familiar with, into some adjacent areas such as architecture, engineering, and construction technology. We've got a number of products for facilities, building, and space management as well. And our what was our UAS business that then turned into our autonomy and robotics business spun off of that geospatial business as well. So this vertical includes many types of products, from your traditional GIS companies that you're probably familiar with to imagery providers, satellite companies, and we've got a lot of analytics companies that are doing various types of geospatial analytics as well. We've got about, I would say we've got about 80 partners that have a geospatial focus that are part of that business. And with that, we've got a lot of industry presence and a lot of trade show presence in that space. From last, I guess, July, so 2 months ago in May, we attended USGIF's GeoInt Symposium. We've got a very active strategic partnership with USGIF. Those of you who aren't familiar with it, it's the United States Geospatial Intelligence Foundation. They're a nonprofit focused on the GeoInt and geospatial tradecraft, and they put on a really great symposium in May. It brings together a number of government customers and the entire geospatial industry for a week. So we wrapped that up in May. We also had some presence at Geo Week in February this year, and a couple of other events coming up throughout the year that we're looking forward to. So you'll see us at a number of things in the geospatial industry and a lot of the industry-wide events.
Yeah, we're going to talk a lot more about the marketing efforts a little bit further on, Lacey, but I do want to highlight that you guys also came to Geo Week this year. It's run by Diversified Communications, the same ones that run Commercial UAV. That was in February in Denver, and what a great show that was. I know Lauren Regiek, one of your colleagues there, had a presence, and it was so fun. So much to talk about, but you know what? Joel Anderson has put something up about Saxon Unmanned. So Joel, if you're looking to partner with Carahsoft, we'll give you Lacey's contact information at the end. So very cool. And also Alfredo Laglaze. I'm probably butchering your name, Alfredo, and I apologize. And I don't know where you work, Alfredo, but what he says is they're really looking to buy some of the Blue UAS program, I guess, drones, but the price is far from available for his activities in the private sector. And then I know that has been a challenge, Lacey, not only for Alfredo, but for others, even law enforcement. Like in Florida, for example, this ban you mentioned, and them having to scrub their DJI drones and look for some kind of an alternative. Can you comment on, let's just say Maven in the US, or Blue, or now AVSI, of course, who presents this program, has the Green UAS program, which is a spinoff of Blue. Can you comment on how you can help, maybe from a price point, some of these folks that are struggling with these made in the US and TA compliant drones?
Sure. So I can comment on that to some extent. So some of the pricing, I know a lot of these companies, their pricing isn't public today to them because they're not on a publicly available contract vehicle like a GSA schedule or NASA SUP or something along those lines. So we can certainly help with, as we bring on partners, help, determine what that pricing strategy should look like specifically for the government. I don't know. There's probably a couple of other things related to cost of development to meet some of these requirements that may be increasing that price. But again, I think we're able to help connect these companies with various partners, help make those connections with DIU or the Blue UAS program or with AUVSI, and bring in some additional expertise to maybe help them lower the cost of meeting some of those requirements, which then I think would in turn hopefully lower the street price of their products. But they're all a little different, so I can't go into too much detail on what the pricing looks like there. But we're always happy to discuss specific requirements and find something at a price point that is closer to your needs.
And our producer in the background tells me Alfredo's company is called Drone AI Services. So again, Alfredo, I encourage you to reach out to Lacey and her team after the show to learn a little bit more about perhaps how you can partner with Carahsoft and get some drones that are, kind of made in the USA and compliant at the right price point for what you're trying to achieve. On that note, I think it's probably a good idea to pop up this slide about the Carahsoft Autonomy and Robotics line card here. I know I helped you build some of this, companies like Airgility and Dragonfly and Elsight. But can you tell us a little bit about this line card and what this effort entails?
Yeah, of course. So, our Autonomy and Robotics line card recently rebranded. It started as our UAS solutions with a specific focus on UAS. And like I said earlier, we started this about 6 years ago. We initially brought on about 5 partners in this space, which quickly turned into 10 and turned into 20. And that list is growing. We've got a number of partnerships that are in the works that we're really excited to announce in the next couple of months. But initially, there was a really big focus on small UAS or related software. And we've since expanded that to include, again, about 20 companies that are in the UAS space, and expanding more into autonomy and robotics as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, not to pick favorites here, but Dragonfly, who, by the way, I think was our month sponsor, I'm going to say, was it in February this year? They are a partner, and they're made in North America, right? And they're doing a lot of things out in Ukraine. Airgility, also made in the US, out of Maryland, have some really cool, not only drone, but counter drone solutions that are very unique. And when you think about components, Key AI, they're out of Canada, and they've actually been working quite a bit with Skydio lately, a Blue UAS company, to bring artificial intelligence and 3D digital twins and whatnot to infrastructure inspection. So lots going on there. And as you said, Lacey, there's some in the pipeline that we can't talk about right now, but that continues to grow. And so you continue to take in the best of the best and add even more companies. So can you share with us some of your success stories?
Yeah, of course. So, we've had a couple really great success stories, and there are so many interesting use cases in this space at all levels of government. Ultimately, the government is their focus is on protecting their people, protecting their assets, and their operations, and these solutions can help in so many ways. So, some of our success stories that we are doing a lot in the critical infrastructure sector. So. With some private companies, but within the government as well. So think of even Department of Interior and National Park Service, and some of those agencies that are using these types of products for, work on dams or bridges or inspection work. We've also had a ton of success in the law enforcement and public safety sector. So various use cases around security or, crime scene modeling or investigations and things along those lines. Also some that are doing, incident command and control and things along those lines. And then, as I said earlier, we've been in the geospatial sector for a while. We've got a strong footprint and a lot of customer relationships there. So we've seen a number of our customers in geospatial that are using some of these products even just for surveying, mapping, and photogrammetry and things along those lines.
All right, awesome. Well, we got some really interested people out there like Saxon Unmanned and Alfredo from Drone AI Services, who probably want to know, how do you become, how do vendors work with Carahsoft?
Yeah, so the vendors that we work with today view Carahsoft as their master government aggregator. So we describe that as really a hybrid between a reseller and a distributor. So the reseller model being, you know, the flow is from the vendor to Carahsoft to the customer. A distribution model is from the vendor to Carahsoft as the distributor, a reseller, and then the customer. We're kind of in the middle of that because we can resell, we can distribute, and we bring a lot of value to the partnership that maybe a traditional distributor wouldn't bring around the sales and the marketing piece as well.
Yeah, we're definitely going to get into all of that, the return on investment, if you will, the value add. But how do you choose the partners that you work with?
So like you said, we're working with tons of companies. We're always looking for new innovative companies. We work with small companies, we work with large companies, and everything in between. So there's no company that's too big or too small to work with us. And really, no matter where you are in your government business, there could be a fit in some way. But we're ultimately looking for companies that are bringing something new to the market that our customers need, to help and have the resources to help us drive that success for our customers as well.
So if I was like Saxon as an example, what I would want to do probably is look at your website and see who's out there, what value I bring to the table that's different, and what market sectors, my product or service would be relevant to. And so what on the flip side, what are the benefits then? You kind of alluded a little bit to this. Now's where I want to dig deeper into it. What are the benefits for a company that winds up partnering with Carahsoft?
Yeah, so there are a number of benefits that we're focused on, and we have the capability to offer all of these to partners and figure out kind of what formula for that partnership works best for that specific company. But first and foremost, as I mentioned, we're ultimately a sales and marketing company. So we've got a huge emphasis on sales. We have dedicated sales teams to either large manufacturers or to specific technology verticals that can really become the expert in that technology and help act as an extension of your sales team to execute on, proactive campaigns, white space campaigns, competitive takeout campaigns, and ultimately, do a ton of outreach to customers to ultimately find leads. So the primary focus of our sales team is really around lead gen, demand gen, finding qualified opportunities that we can then share with the vendors or share with the reseller ecosystem. The second capability that we have is our marketing efforts. So I know we're going to talk a little bit later about some of the trade shows that we're doing and all of the marketing capabilities, but we really act as an extension of the vendor's marketing team as well. Have a large public sector marketing team where we can ultimately amplify that message and get the word out. And then the contracts piece that I mentioned. So Carahsoft has a number of contracts in the government space that we can get our partners added to act as a vehicle when we've got an opportunity. We've got a great reseller ecosystem that I mentioned. So a couple thousand partners from, systems integrators to cloud providers to, FedRAMP partners or, implementation partners to a ton of small business resellers that can help meet those government small business reseller, small business requirements as well. And then there's a number of additional resources that we bring to the table from, we've got a lot of capabilities around market research, bid board capabilities. We've got a great proposals team that can help coordinate your proposal efforts, and a number of additional resources we can offer. But I think those are the kind of the 5 core areas.
No, I think that's great. And, we had a really number of great questions from Tani Smith when we were in Clubhouse. I think one of them is worth repeating here, which is, do you then also enable partnering between your various partners? In other words, because you have, like, for example, Geospatial, you have AI companies, you have, cybersecurity companies. Do you enable those companies that are part of your larger ecosystem to meet each other and potentially partner with each other as well?
We do. Yeah, so we love when our partners can partner together. And there are a couple things that we do to really bring those partners together. So one is just simply, hey, our sales teams, especially our vertical teams, they're cross-trained in multiple products. They have a good understanding of that specific vertical, and they can kind of help, match some of those partners together and facilitate introductions. Throughout the year, we also do, we host a couple of industry-wide events or partner briefings that we'll do. For example, at the beginning of the year, we do a briefing on the federal budget. We've done some on the state and local budget. We did, Dawn, I know you did one for us on the drone market last year. We've done one on the law enforcement space. So we do a couple vendor-focused events each year as well that bring our partners together both in person and virtually. And those typically end with some type of networking event where partners can talk to one another and talk about some ideas. There's a couple of new things we're looking to do as well around some partner matchmaking events and just helping to enable those partners. But we love when our partners can partner together, and Carahsoft can really help market those joint solutions when it comes to something with our partners. So if you take a look at our website and some of the events that we're hosting, you'll see that we've got a lot of those events that, hey, it's not just one vendor on there. We've got multiple manufacturers on the same event, usually two. There are a couple that we do with more than two, but we love marketing those joint solutions with webinars or in-person events and things along those lines.
Yeah, I think that kind of bleeds into your training and enabling efforts too, because you do so much in that space as well. And everybody, just to give a shout out to Carahsoft here. They were the first company for my inaugural Law Tech Connect workshop last year with AEVSI to come on board as a scholar sponsor. So they sponsored a number of students and faculty, our future workforce, to come to that event. And they did that again this year. So really appreciative of that. But that's the kind of leadership that Carahsoft brings. Before we get into the marketing capabilities, which we're going to do in a second, I want to foot stomp these contract vehicles, because I feel like especially for younger entrepreneurs, new entrants to autonomy robotics that have a product, or maybe even they've been around but they have a new release and really want to break into the federal, state, local, tribal, territorial government markets. Having access to those vehicles is probably the big X factor for them. Like, where do I even begin? And I know, and I've seen companies out there, Lacey, that market themselves as kind of sales marketing standalone. We're gonna make your connections for you and build this for you. But your reach is so incredibly broad. And by the way, everybody, we're talking in the billions of dollars this company moves every year, and their net worth. So that's a level of connections they have across the federal and every state government. So tell us a little bit about some of the major vehicles and how you kind of enable people to tap into those opportunities.
Yeah. So on the federal side, there are three primary contract vehicles that we have, and keep in mind with these contract vehicles, they're essentially they're government-wide acquisition contracts. They're procurement vehicles. So it's not a, hey, we put you on a contract and it's a guarantee you're going to get sales right away, but it's an avenue for the customers to buy your products and to buy those in the easiest way, in the most streamlined way that they possibly can. So on the federal side, the main three that we have are the GSA schedule, which is probably the most familiar to everyone, managed by the General Services Administration. And most of you who have probably looked at the Blue UAS programs, they're very closely tied with GSA as well. And GSA does require the Blue UAS approval before you can be on the GSA schedule. And so Carahsoft holds a GSA multiple award schedule. It's the GSA mass contract. We have the ability to add drones and UAS and the related products to that contract. The second one that we have, which it's a little bit interesting, we can't add drones, but we can add some related software to it, is the NASA SOUP contract. Similar contract, but it's managed by NASA. And it's a really easy, really simple contract to use. And then we also have an ITES contract, which is an Army chest contract that's managed by the Army. But all three of these contracts are available to any federal agency to utilize, both defense, intelligence, and federal civilian agencies. They're also available for tribal organizations as well. And then in the GSA schedule specifically, so while it's managed by the federal government, there are a couple of states that have a state-specific GSA schedule. So like California, for example, California's CMAS contract is based off of the federal GSA schedule. Same with, I believe the state of New Mexico has one. There's one for the city of Seattle and a couple others. So we'll see some state-specific contracts that are based specifically off of the GSA schedule. And then on the state and local side, there are a number of contracts we have. We've got a couple state-specific contracts, like I mentioned, California, that's based off of GSA, New Mexico. We've got contracts in the state of New York. We've got a number of Texas DIR contracts, and a couple other specific states. But then we also have some cooperative purchasing agreements as well. And those are available to any state, local government, or education entity that would like to buy through them. So the two main ones are NASPO, which is available to about 38 states that have signed up to that. And then the Omnia Partners contract is available to all state and local governments. And basically with those contracts, you know, they've got pre-negotiated terms for some of them. There are terms incorporated in some of them. So it ultimately helps shorten the sales cycle a little bit.
If you're listening to this and your head is swimming because you're learning all kinds of new things for the first time, don't be surprised, because this is exactly Carahsoft's bread and butter and what they do on a daily basis. And of course, the complementary aspect of all of these things you're just talking about here, Lacey, is the fact that you have incredible marketing capabilities. So I believe we have a slide to show a little bit about that. So walk us through then, you know, how you not only help these companies get on these various contract vehicles and look for opportunities, but also proactively get the word out to others about what they're doing.
Sure. So yes, as you can see here on the slide, we've got you know, really expansive marketing capabilities. Our marketing team is one of the largest public sector focused marketing teams in the industry. And we've got teams that are focused specifically on vendor and partner marketing. And like I mentioned earlier, really being an extension of their marketing team, helping to amplify their message and get the word out. And we do a lot of that through webinars, through email campaigns, content syndication. We also do a lot of third-party programs where we can, you know, help negotiate some additional discounts on those and help you with, you know, the content and the promotion through some third parties as well. We've got capabilities around, you know, public relations through our PR team. We've got a great social media team. You can follow Carahsoft on LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, and all the major social media platforms to keep up with the latest updates that we have going on as a company. We also do a lot around our conference services. We've got a great event space in our office. So as I mentioned earlier, we host a number of events for our partners throughout the year. We also host a ton of events for our customers. Everything from executive briefings to trainings. It's great anytime I go into our office out in Reston, Virginia, and if you go up to the 5th floor, usually both sides are filled with you know, customers and partners who are there for the different events that we have. So we've got the event space and production capabilities in-house. And we've also got a really great, you know, some digital media teams that are focused on website, digital content creation, and a trade show team as well. So the trade show are really exciting for us. If you've been to a trade show, one of the big ones before, you've probably seen us there, but excuse me, at a lot of the major trade shows, we do what we call our partner pavilion. So you'll see a big Carahsoft booth, a lot of our partners near us. We've got blue carpet all around to kind of differentiate the space, and demos in the booth. And we're doing a ton of activities around, you know, partner presentations, exec briefings, networking receptions, and just really, you know, making a a big splash at scale with Carahsoft and all of our partners at these types of events.
Yeah, absolutely. We talked about Geo Week. You guys were at AUVSI this year for the first time. You're going to have a presence at Commercial UAV in Las Vegas coming up in September. I think a lot of our viewers are tracking those events, and it's great to see Carahsoft there now. You guys are also at so many DoD events that maybe a lot of our audience isn't as familiar with, like DOTIS, DoD Information Systems. Is that what that one is? And SoftWorks and things like this, throughout the year. So I know you've got a huge calendar. Is there anything in the short-term target other than commercial UAV kind of between now and just like say end of year that are like your big ones?
Yeah, so upcoming events for the year. So we will have a presence at Commercial UAV. We also have a large presence at the ICP conference, which is the International Association of Chiefs of Police. That one is taking place in San Diego in October. Big law enforcement focused conference with a couple thousand attendees. So we'll have a large presence there. And then DOTIS, which is the DIA's technology conference, will be in Portland in the beginning of December. So I think those are our main three for the rest of this year. Like you mentioned, Dawn, we kicked off the year with a couple of events that have already happened with, we had a presence at Edge 23 at CES in January, Geo Week, that was in February. We had a big presence at AFCEA West, which is a big DoD show, AVSI Exponential, where we were able to sponsor the Law Tech Connect event and have some scholars attend, which we were really excited about. And then we've also had a large presence at some of the other big DoD shows, such as the GeoInt Symposium. Soft Week is a special operations conference in Tampa in May. And then Sea, Air, and Space was here at National Harbor back in April. So a lot of presence at a lot of DoD shows, and then some of the law enforcement and a number of more regional, state, and local focus shows as well that we do throughout the year.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, Lacey, I'm just blanking on the name. Oh, Accelerate. You guys were out at Excel. Yeah, we had Marcy from Accelerate on the show about a year ago, I think in August, with our CSU Drone Center here. That was a little bit local, kind of that East versus West, kind of interesting training and meeting locations. So I know that's one of the local spots because I was out there with your team. Gosh, was it last year with the Beyond Visual Line of Sight weather thing that True Weather Solutions hosted with Accelerate? That was so fun. It was like St. Patrick's Day, but so many things. So we are getting super short on time. I knew our time would fly, Lacey, and there's so much to talk about. But can you give us a preview perhaps of what's next? We talked about some of these shows and things like this, but with regards to this autonomy and robotics line of effort, what do you project for the future?
Yeah, so we're in the process of bringing on some more partners, again, some really exciting ones that I'm excited to talk about soon, and doing a lot of activities with our existing partners. So our big focus on this space is really in the marketing and brand awareness of our autonomy and robotics business, and getting our partners brand out there. So you'll be seeing us at some more events throughout this year, and we're already looking at a really great lineup of events for next year. So keep an eye out for us, keep an eye out for our partners, and we'll have a lot of exciting things coming that you'll be able to see if you're following us on social media and our website and looking for us at some of these events.
Yeah, I can't, Lacey, as I think about Edge, which is one of the big shows that you do, you mentioned in conjunction with CES. By the way, everybody, it used to be called Government CES. It's now called Edge. It's run by the Government Business Executive Forum, a large group of really kind of global, but primarily U.S. focused, hard-hitting government organizations and companies that work with them. When I did the Dawn of Drones, if you will, event 2 years ago on that stage, I had a handful of companies that I brought up with me. And honestly, when I think about partnering, some of those companies have now since partnered, and some of them are in your portfolio. And I just think it's so cool and so amazing that when you bring these companies together, because we know, right, Lacey, this is not, you cannot survive alone in this autonomy robotic space. Like the companies that are going to thrive are the ones that partner together. and also have access to government vehicles, at least as a starting point, as the regulations start catching up on the outside, right? On the civil and commercial side. So really exciting what you're doing. We are at time, but I want to give you this last minute to go ahead and close it out for us with anything we missed or what you want to say to the audience in closing.
Yeah, so it was exciting to be here today, and hope to get to meet a lot of you in person soon. Like I mentioned, definitely visit visit our website. It's www.carahsoft.com. Take some time to meet with us at a show. Stop by and visit our booth. You can also reach me directly on LinkedIn or via email, and we're happy to set up some conversations. For any manufacturers that might be interested in a partnership, if you go to our website, carahsoft.com/partners, you can fill out a form on there as well that'll directly connect you to our new vendor onboarding team to set up an intro call. You can also mention that you heard about us through the Dawn of Drones podcast as well, and we'll set up some time to meet shortly. So I appreciate the time and being here, and looking forward to meeting a lot of you soon.
Well, thank you so much, Lacey. Everybody else, thank you for chiming in your comments, for your attention today. And just a real quick update. This week, we actually have an educational company, Lacey, Argos Academy. They're new. They're going to be on our Drone Law Connections. So check them out on Thursday. And they'll be on the Dawn of Drones next week. So everybody, have a great week. We are out here.